All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of YB's Collaboration Corner. I am truly excited about my guest today, and I say that about all of my guests, but I am very excited about this young lady because she's local to the Richmond area right now. She's been many other places, and she'll get into that in our conversation, but she and I had an opportunity to meet through a common connection. And her story is tremendous. And I'm so grateful that she accepted my invitation to talk about her nonprofit, her life as an entrepreneur, as well as a blogger, and just some of the things that she has going on. So Susanna Wu-Pong Calvert is here with me in the building. Welcome to YB's Collaboration Corner. Susanna, how are you doing today?
Hi, YB. I'm so glad and honored to be here on your one amazing show with and being able to be spotlighted by you with your beautiful work and your energy for this community that I know that you've so carefully cultivated. So thank you for this honor.
Well, the pleasure is mine. I really enjoyed how we were able to get connected, and it all came about as a result of me speaking to a group of young adults through the Rotaract organization, and then was able to befriend a few connections, and then that one connection led to you, and now we're here, and then we discovered that we have some other common connections. So, we're often one connection away from a major breakthrough, and obviously, we're also connected to the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce, Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. So shout out to the Chesterfield Chamber. But we're all one connection away from a breakthrough, and so I love the story that you told in front of the Women's Brew crew. I call them the Women's Brew crew. But let's get started with where are you from originally, Susanna, and give us a little bit about your backstory.
Okay, well, I'm kind of from all over, YB. I was born in Georgia, and then I lived in New York State, and then Texas, and then I went to school in California, and then I ended up in Richmond, Virginia to take a job as a faculty member in the VC School of Pharmacy. So my academic background is pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences. So I was on the faculty in the School of Pharmacy for 23 years. And during that time, I moved into an administrative role where I discovered I had a passion for leadership, career, professional, and personal development. It was sort of this aha moment. And I decided to go back to school and get a degree in the science of well-being, which is applied positive psychology, and a bunch of coaching credentials, so that I could really focus on this work, this passion I discovered midlife, really. And I eventually was blessed to procure my dream job at the University of Georgia. So in 2016, my husband and I moved to Athens, where I was supporting faculty success and well-being for the 3,300 faculty there. And it was just blissful, joyful work, YB, until 2018, when coming back from my sister's funeral, we learned about Chris's stage 4 cancer. And so that changed everything for me and made me go on a spiritual journey and lean into the trauma to foster the learning and growth that I knew could be available to me on the other side.
Yeah.
So during that time, I received divine inspiration to quit my dream job and move back to Richmond, put all my savings, and this happened around the time Chris passed, put all my savings into starting a nonprofit called the Foundation for Family and Community Healing. And I've been doing that since 2018, just shortly after that, around 2018, until the present day.
That is tremendous. And I remember, as you tell the story, I remember the way that I felt when you shared that. Obviously, you shared that with me one-on-one. But then when you told your story to the Women's Brew crew, I was just like, continuously blown away. I mean, I'm married. I've been married, going on 17 years. My wife and I have been together almost 18 years. And so, it's just like you can't really fathom losing your spouse. But then what happens is it starts to create, it becomes a catalyst for some people, and for others, it becomes a weight. And for you, it became a catalyst. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. And in ways I could have never have predicted or expected. And, I think just being willing to be open to the learning and growth and the blessings that were hidden in so much pain and trauma and loss,
Mhm.
just really helped me come through the other side and to find myself in a new place and perspective that is just more beautiful than anything I think I could have imagined professionally, in that prior life.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty strong. So you got into the realm of academia, had opportunity to be a part of different places. How was it that you were able to make the connections that you made? How did those opportunities come about?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
How did,
Listen, audience, she has a puppy, and
yeah,
the puppy wants some shine too. So what's your puppy's name?
he's Romeo, and he has all kinds of friends and frenemies in his little imaginary world.
I got
I'm
you.
sorry, I missed the question because of all the
No,
squealing.
that's quite all right. So what I was asking was, for you to be able to have traveled to the places that you went to, like how were you able to do that? Like, was it through relationships that those opportunities opened up, or was it like you were seeking something else? Because you mentioned that you had opportunities to come to VCU and then down to University of Georgia. Like, talk a little bit about how those opportunities opened up for you.
Um, yeah, I think all opportunities have some element of my network and collaborations. And because everything we do, it has a certain reach and scope if we do it on our own. But when we add in the power of connection and collaboration, then it can really be exponential.
Hmm.
And so I think I would have found that job at Georgia somehow on my own. But what enabled me to be effective in that work was the connections and collaborations I had across campus, across my professional associations, across the world, that enabled me to create successful programs. And I think with the Foundation for Family and Community Healing work, I feel like that um, reality is even more present because I actually have an intention to change the world for the better with my nonprofit work, YB. And when I was in higher education, I just wanted to change university and colleges. Like I wanted to change that culture. But
Right.
now I want to change the world, and I feel like I actually can
Yeah.
because, and not because of the efforts of me as an individual, but because by networking and forming collaborations, I can work with and collaborate with and synergize with people who are of like mind,
Mhm.
like heart, like passion, like value.
Mhm.
And then it becomes multiplicative.
Mhm.
And so, I'm an educator and we offer online relationship skill education.
Okay.
And I'm good at that. We can create it, and we work with others who also have are teaching on the spectrum of relationship with ourselves, each other, earth, and the loving force that connects us. That's a big spectrum
Yeah.
and a lot of places to tap in. But I don't have access to the communities and the resources that other organizations have. And so by networking and collaborating, we can find others out there who have a like vision and are maybe the recipients of the beneficiaries of the work we do.
Yeah.
So for example, I think the story that most struck you, YB, was that we're a pretty new nonprofit, and
Mhm.
we just launched our platform last spring, and so we spent the year so looking for partnerships and alliances and that kind of thing. And we were very fortunate because we got our first corporate client,
Mhm.
not by knocking on their door, but because something I wrote, a blog, which I think prior to that point got the attention of maybe 10 people, including
Right.
those in my organization.
Right. Right.
But that my blog was discovered in the depths of the Google search engine somehow by a company that has a global presence.
Yeah.
And they wrote to me and invited me to give a presentation at one of the events that they were having.
Yeah.
And I thought, is this a marketing email? But I followed up anyway. And it turns out it wasn't a marketing email. It was a genuine invitation from Amazon, and like global Amazon.
Yeah.
So
Not
I know,
not the local folks that deliver the packages, right? We're
right.
talking about Amazon.
Amazon
Yeah.
with 1.3 million employees. And so, I mean, they have what are called affinity groups. So I think there's 14 of them where the employees self-identify into interest groups. And so we were presenting to one of those interest groups. So, maybe there was 1 million people
Yeah.
potentially in the audience, but so that was somewhat not really accidental, but fortuitous because of writing. And I know that you also have, you're very much an advocate and support for people to get their books out there and their writing. And I think that's a testimonial to that. But it also says that, by forming that relationship with that person, we now have access to 1.3 million employees that Susanna could never connect to on her own or in a much more difficult way.
Yeah.
Same with our new collaborations and partnerships in the city of Richmond. So we have some new relationships with different organizations across Central Virginia, which will enable us to reach many thousands of low-income people. So, and again, if I just went knocking on doors, I could never achieve a fraction of that reach by working on my own. It's only through the networking and collaborating and YB, when you said, Susanna, I recommend you do X, Y, and Z, it's like, okay. And I joined the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for that recommendation. And I tend to embrace the advice and the suggestions of people to go meet so-and-so.
Yeah.
It's usually very valuable advice.
When you connect with connectors and you take their advice, it multiplies your networking efforts. Literally. So knocking on doors is like adding 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, right? But when you connect to an organization whose thrust is to support a specific region, and then you get around people whose focus is, okay, how do we help each other? Then you multiply your efforts. And that's why I love this whole concept about collaboration and how collaboration actually creates currency. As a matter of fact, I'm working on my second book, and that's the title of it, right? Collaboration creates currency. And so when you are out there building these relationships, you're actually getting paid. Now, it might not be monetarily, you might not get a dollar or yen or whatever. You might not get any physical currency, but what you're building is social currency. You're building trust. And so even as I have you on this show, I felt compelled to support you the moment we had a conversation, right? Now, keep in mind, when we had this conversation, when we had our first conversation, I wasn't a podcast host.
Oh.
So now it allows for because of the relationship that we're building, and this is something that I would love for the listeners to really get, when you build relationships with people, you benefit from the growth of the individuals in your network. Right. So as they grow, if you stay connected, you're going to benefit from their growth. So in my case, as I'm growing, the people that are in my network, I'm putting them in a position to do the things that I currently do, which is to increase the visibility, credibility, and profitability of my network. And so I value you because your story is worth being told. As a matter of fact, I even said I'm going to do something. I won't mention it on this podcast because I need to do it first, and then I can mention what I did, because I don't like talking about stuff that I hadn't done yet, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So, but I will say that it has something to do with blogging, but specifically on LinkedIn, right? So, but let's talk a little bit about who do you look to collaborate with? We obviously we talked about the chamber, we talked about, those relationships that have helped you to accelerate your visibility, your credibility, and even your profitability with the opportunity with Amazon. But if you had to break down the type of people that you want to collaborate, let's say they're listening to this podcast, prayerfully they're listening to this podcast, or maybe watching it, but but who would those people be? Like, who would you want to attract as a result of the networking that you're out doing?
Well, there's three main categories of people, YB. So the first is content providers. So I've created several of these learning modules based on my own, expertise and experience. But we have this whole spectrum of topics on relationship skill development. So we can't cover all of those points as well as we would, like them to be covered by ourselves, because we have expertise by definition. So we're looking for others in the community who are already teaching this stuff to great impact and who want to reach wider audiences. So we'd like to work and collaborate with people like that. Secondly, like I said, we're looking to work with those who have communities that are ready for growth and change, and that there is a contact person, a change agent, somebody in a community of people who senses the need for growth and change in this area of our relationship with ourselves, each other, Earth, or the loving force that connects us, and are willing to work with us to help get the content to their community. We do offer our modules on a gift economy basis. So, and we have a very special place in our hearts for low-income communities and people, communities in need, because that's part of our mission to be of service. And so money should be no barrier to access for our products.
Right.
But those who can pay, we very much welcome the income. And the third is that we are a nonprofit. And because we are a gift economy and we want to have a high quality product and high quality service, we are also looking for people who believe in our mission and who want to invest in what we're doing for the betterment of all. We feel this is the healing innovation that is needed for humanity and for Earth, because it is time for us to heal and come together and work together and celebrate our interconnectedness to each other. And so that is all learnable. And we want to make sure that's available to everybody. Mm-hmm. And so to realize that mission, we're going to need some help too. So we would love donors, foundations with grants, people who are willing to donate in kind, products or services, or volunteer, offer us PR like you. So thank you, and any other way to get the word out.
So as we begin to land the plane, Susanna, tell us how can people find more information? Give us the name of your organization, and how can people gain more insight and information, and so that they can support if they see themselves being in one of three buckets that you mentioned.
Yes, thank you, YB. You can find us at healingedu.org. We are also on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And I also have a radio show on WRWK 93.9 FM. And we air a program called Finding Our Fit Thursdays at 5 p.m. And that's also on Facebook, YouTube, as well as the website and the radio dial if you're in the Richmond area. So I'd love to hear from you. You can also email me at Susanna, SUSANNA, at familyandcommunityhealing.org.
I love it. I love it. So listen, for those of you who have a heart for community, for those of you who have a heart for a relationship, and for those of you who have a heart for low-income communities, definitely connect with Susanna, lock arms with her, tell her that you found out about her through YB Connects or through the YB's Collaboration Corner or Self-Publishing 30 Days. It doesn't matter. As long as you get connected and understand that she's the real deal. She's the real deal, and have her tell you about the hero's journey. We're gonna have to have you come back and talk about that a little bit. I know that that's a specific training that you provide, or just an overall message, but that is powerful when you went through that whole phase of just the hero's journey, and I just really appreciate that. It's another, was it another word for it? because it was like
Uh,
the masculine and feminine, like the heroine's
oh,
journey. Like it was like
yeah, I was calling it the heroine's
the
journey.
heroine's journey, yeah. Which I like that. I mean, I have two daughters and a wife, so it's okay, like the heroine's journey. But but it hit me like, no, it wasn't hero's journey. It's heroine's journey.
Or I think actually the phrase I was using was Shiro's journey. So
Hero's journey, yeah.
S
Hero's journey, yeah,
slash
yeah, yeah,
Hero.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
refer
yeah,
to either one
yeah.
because we also can tap into our own selves, our masculine and feminine,
Right.
divinity, and bring balance. That's what I feel we need
Yeah,
now.
absolutely, absolutely. So as the plane begins to land, I have one curveball question that I ask all of my guests. So I know I didn't tell
Right.
you about this ahead of time, but I think you'll be okay. So this podcast is brought to you by Self Publish in 30 Days, where we focus on attracting, inspiring authors and helping them to become self-published authors. So say for example, you were ready to go out and put out your first book, right? And you can go, and I know you, and she's actually published textbooks, so she's the real deal. So make sure you look her up. But say for example, you're ready to put out, let's say, a manuscript of your own, and you can go anywhere in the world to write this manuscript, right? And we were paying for it. And when I say we, I mean myself and my self-publishing 30 days team. We was paying for it. Where would you go?
My next book, I already know it's in me, YB, and I'm just waiting. I'm allowing it to congeal. It's going to be about modern, a modern spirituality and a spiritual renaissance for our new age. And so I think I hadn't really thought about where, but I think I would want to go to Tibet or the Himalayas or Bhutan, somewhere like that,
Mhm.
where I could really tap into the groundedness, again, that balance, the divine guidance, accessing our divine self, because that's what I feel like I'm doing now. That's changed for me so much is tapping into my soul's purpose. And I feel like that is what we all need right now. It's what Earth needs. It's what our souls who are so burdened with anxiety, depression, stress,
Yeah.
and loneliness needs. So that's what I would do, YB. And thanks for planting that seed in me. I think
No, listen, that's the main
I want to make
reason,
that
right?
happen.
No, that's the main reason. I plant a couple seeds, I love this whole concept because the world is so vast, right? If we think Richmond, Virginia is big, which it's a big little city, right? But just think about the globe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's some people that have never left the country before, right? And so my desire when I ask that question is really to get people to think. Obviously, also, I want to woo some folks over to our neck of the woods. They are self-published in 30 days, but the goal is to get people to think outside of their zone, outside of their city, outside of their state, outside of their country. And so I could 1000% see those locations that you mentioned. Even before you mentioned it, I had like, okay, that's a part of the world that yeah, because it just fits just in the, in the realm of how you operate, Susanna. Well, thank you so much for just investing your quality time with us. And to you that are listening and watching, make sure you go back and rewind and get that website from Susanna and visit her website. Tell her that you heard about her here on the podcast and show your support. And as she continues to grow, we may end up getting her back. You know what I'm saying? You just never know how things roll. You never know how when people grow, they actually help you to grow as well. So as long as you stick with them. So this is YB's Collaboration Corner, where our main focus is empowering, inspiring, and impacting you to increase your visibility, credibility, and profitability through collaborations, because they truly create currency. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, be faithful, because your gift will make room for you. We'll see you next time. Peace.